Welcome everybody to Myst 3 Exile, additional endings, and other extra bonuses. So, if you are the doofus that Saavedro thinks you are, just change the power to the outer barrier and just watch what happens. I guarantee you, you're not going to like the result.
Apparently, it's my turn to live up to my end of the bargain.
Oh, the tricky little... He just betrayed you, and what do you expect? He's been isolated for 20 years and is harboring resentment and hatred. Yeah, of course he's gonna betray you, and he's gonna be like, you know, screw Atrus. I've been here for 20 years because of his darn sons. I'm just gonna release this off into the abyss and screw him over entirely. So you could end the game there and load up previous game, or you can go back to Tamana and see what Atrus and Catherine's reactions are. And it's kind of heartbreaking in a way, because you're basically returning to say, hey, I failed. So you kind of feel kind of a jerk for doing that. Because you should have known better than to trust Saavedro.
By the Maker, you've returned! Atrus, come quick! The fire burned the linking book you used. We had no way of following and thought.
You've returned. And where's Relishan? Did you bring back the book? All those people. Everything we worked so hard to restore.
Atrus.
Without that book, they're lost to us forever.
Yeah, that sucks. So, that's probably one of the worst endings. And we're gonna roll into another ending where we're totally not gonna trust Saavedro, so we're gonna go out there and confront him. And say, hey, you know, I don't trust you. But he's gonna get angry with you, and the longer you stay out here not doing what he wants, the angrier he's gonna get.
What are you doing? Go back inside and drop the outer barrier. Do it. I swear I will drop this into oblivion. What are you waiting for? Drop the outer shield, or I swear I will let go of this book.
And that didn't end well at all. You're dead. So, don't piss off the madman, everybody. It just doesn't end well for anybody. Now, what if you said, screw this. I got Relishan. Well, maybe you didn't, but either way, if you go back to Tamana and he's still out there, and you haven't really trapped him, this is what's going to happen, and it's not a pretty sight. You're basically condemning Atrus and Catherine to a very horrible death. And yourself, too, of course.
By the Maker, you've returned! Atrus, come quick! The fire burned the linking book you used. We had no way of following and thought.
You've returned. Where's Relishan? Did you bring...
Well, that was silly of you. Why would you do that? Anyway, so here's another opportunity. How about you say, well, let's do the third option and turn off the power and trap him, right? That is definitely a viable option here. So let's turn this power off and watch him go crazy. Sometimes, you know, you kind of have to wait for him to walk out of view for it to actually happen, so if you click the switch and nothing happens, just wait until he goes off screen, and then the switch will actually flip over. Just some weirdness of the interface there. Now, what if you went down there and got the book from him, or maybe you didn't, you just switched the power back on again? Either way, He feels like you played a cruel joke on him at his expense, and he's really mad at you. Basically, he's coming up here with the hammer. Things are not going to end well for you, my friend. Yep, you're dead. You still didn't get release on there. So, how about you went down there after turning off the power, and you listened to this whole spiel again?
Please. I can't do this again. Please don't leave me trapped here like this. I can't! No! No! No, no, no! No!
Going through his litany of no's here.
No, no, no!
How about you like, hey dude, we got release on. You were gonna betray me anyway, so screw you, I'm going back to Tamana, I'm not even gonna free you and let you go back to your family. So, you're basically screwing over Saavedro like this. So he's trapped between the two ice barriers, and even if he threw himself off the abyss, he'd be stuck on the lower portion of the ice shield, so he wouldn't get release anyway. He's doomed to a torturous existence until he basically just starves to death. It's a horrible, horrible fate. But hey, at least you returned Relishon, right? All's well there.
You've returned. Atrus, come quick! The fire burned the linking book you used. We had no way of following the...
You've returned. But where's Relishon? Did you bring back the book? Thank the Maker. It's fine. We're in your debt, my friend. If this book had been destroyed, everything we worked for, all the people of Relishon, would have been lost to us forever.
You must tell us everything.
So basically, you just sent Saavedro to another exile, probably for life this time. You heartless cad.
And so, as I once again set my pen to the page, a heavy sorrow hangs over me. It's true that Relishon has been returned to us unharmed, but the age I wrote to provide a new beginning is secure. But I can't escape the facts of its return. Nothing I can do will change the past. The anguish of decisions that were made must be carried with me forever. But if I had been the one to face Saavedro, if I had seen the life my sons destroyed so callously, would I have left him stranded without hope? Would I have sacrificed his dreams to claim my own?
And those are all the endings of Myst 3 Exile, everybody. Analysis is coming up next. Myst 3 is an excellent puzzle adventure game which focused a lot more on compartmentalized puzzles than its predecessor. However, that did not detract from the overall quality of the product. In fact, I believe it enhanced it so that the player had a more firm grasp at what was being asked of them for each and every obstacle. Speaking of which, I grade these puzzle games based on my previous experience for when I first played these games. I can recall all the times I was truly stuck, and when I needed to go and ask for outside help. If at any point I had to do that, based on the complexity of the puzzle, it will be awarded specific puzzle points up to a max of 10. So since it is a puzzle game, it gets a 1 out of 10 straight out of the gate just because. Walking through the ages, Jananen had the simpler puzzles, with the elevator puzzle being nothing more than reading a journal and copying about what it said on the gear trains below the actual elevator itself. The Voltaic puzzle was lengthy, but not overly hard. In fact, the only frustration was getting to the Tusk door and realizing you didn't bother noticing the color code and have to retrace your steps. The Materia puzzle was also easy, and with some trial and error you could handily solve it. The Adana puzzle was tricky if you had no idea what the connections were between the animal and the plants. Even still, one could stumble upon the solution regardless. The only tricky part of Jananen, in my opinion, would have to be the individual ball puzzles that give you access to the books themselves. If you weren't aware of their purpose at first, you may not realize how to solve each of the Tusk codes for each book, so it earns a puzzle point for that. Moving on to Idana, the first section has you reviving a withered plant that transports you to the next area. Nothing too cosmic here, you can literally just discover the solution on accident. The next stage is a bit more complex and requires you to realize you don't need to trap the creature, but rather prevent it from entering its den. It would have been a lot harder if there wasn't a preset groove for you to move the barrier across and thus change where the creature would end up. The next puzzle would have to be the hardest of the age, where you have to align several light reflector plants to access a specific magnifying sunflower and reach a light from the opposite side of the area through it to release the electric ray. And that's all provided you brought it all the way down here in the first place. So another puzzle point awarded for that. The final puzzle is the opening bud, where you have to first pollinate it and ensure the pre-existing opened bud is no longer receiving light or the bugs. The concept is complex, but the only real difficulty is just finding the right paths to the objects of interest you need to solve it. So no points awarded there. Voltaic had the nasty puzzle of the water wheel, where you not only needed to open the floodgates, but also look through some random cracked window to release the flaps. I'm sorry, but that really just got me stumped for hours, since I'm just not a keen observer. Another puzzle point for that nonsense. The circuit board puzzle is fairly simple and almost not worth mentioning, but I will say that it gives you no clue what to do with it, however. The next puzzle has you raising and lowering lava to open up a vent fan that will blow heated air to the airship dock. Just trying to understand that one concept alone could stump a lot of people. It's another puzzle point for it. The final puzzle of the steam valves is very simple once you realize its reasoning. Some easy math and you'll have the thing solved in no time. Materia was a fun age and one of my favorites. The first puzzle, the balancing beam, is another case of simple mathematics. However, you'd have to be paying attention to all the myriad of clues as to the weight of individual objects. Due to the possibility of misreading weights of various material types and the many combinations to balance the beam, this gets another puzzle point from me. The next puzzle is supremely easy once you realize that the sound waves are out of sequence with how they are depressed on the control panel. Once you go out there yourself and become the ball, the solution basically falls into your lap. The next puzzle is devious at first once you see how it moves and the individual circles rotate in opposite directions, and once you see what happens when the pegs fall out, you can basically trial and error your way to victory. The final puzzle with rearranging the tracks is extremely difficult since you aren't exactly sure what you are doing. To top it off, you may not have any idea which is the starting point of the entire route, where you can then start building tracks through the central structure. So another puzzle point for that crazy thing. Narayan, with its 4-in-1 puzzle of deciphering 4 phrases and putting them as symbols into control panel, that was nuts. Thankfully, they gave you enough clues in Atrus's journal, in the pictures you've acquired from each age, and the tapestries themselves to at least harbor a guess how to go about solving it. Since it wasn't nearly as ridiculous as the Fire Marble puzzle in Riven, this is only awarded 2 more points. So if you tally all those points up, Myst 3 Exile gets 8 puzzle points out of 10 for the strengths of its puzzles. A very worthy score indeed. I had fun with this run though, and I am looking forward to accomplishing Revelation in the future. I hope you all enjoyed the series, and I will see you later.